anglers. Uncle Jesse here from James Gang Fishing Company, Uncle Jesse's River and Reservoir Adventures, and had kind of a rough weekend here with the health, so I decided to take it easy, sleep in, rest up after my Lyme disease treatment, and gonna postpone my first ice fishing trip of the year till tomorrow morning if all is well. Excited, I've got some good ice fishing goodies from FAFO Fishing. I partnered up with them a year ago and I'm going to do a little unboxing, or maybe you want to call it unpackaging since it's not in a box. If you're somebody that's new to ice fishing or just looking for some tips, I'll go over a few basics that I've learned over time. I'm also partnered up with Ardent Reel Company. I really like how smooth their drags are. I've had good luck with them holding up over the last few years. I've been using them for I think about 4 or 5 years now. But one tip I learned from Nick Linder Fishing. Check out Nick Linder Fishing on YouTube. Nick's a really good guy. He's obviously a member of the Linder family, the legendary Linders from In-Fisherman and England Edge. Al, Ron's his grandpa. His dad's James Linder. Cool, one of the coolest guys I ever met in my life. He says use a regular, kind of a smaller, regular spinning reel for ice fishing. I absolutely love that tip he gave a few years ago. He's got some videos he did with his dad, top tips, whatever, for ice fishing. Look him up and give him a follow. The guy's amazing. Anyway, so I'm using I think this one here is an Ardent 500 Finesse. The Finesse is their budget spinning reel. I really like it for ice fishing and for jerkbait fishing and for smallmouths. But this I'm going to use 2-pound fluorocarbon. I swear by fluorocarbon. It does have the memory issues. In the summertime you deal with some casting issues, but it's abrasion resistant and it's the most invisible under the water. 2-pound fluorocarbon. That's my go-to for pan fishing. Now if you go with some other brands that are budget, like say a $6 made in China reel, $6, you know, you're going to get some major issues with drag. When you're fighting a crappie that's decent size and they like to, either their paper mouth likes to give out at the end, or they like to, right before you get them up at the bottom of the hole, they like to go sideways and get leverage on the line and you lose them there. That drag getting real chunky where it just kind of comes and goes instead of being like buttery smooth like the Ardent. It costs you so many fish so many times. It just drives me crazy. Smallmouth fishing in the summer, largemouth fishing. When I got a budget garbage reel from say Amazon, like I made a mistake of doing this summer, and when funds were tight, I bought one real quick because I didn't want to wait for my Ardent reels to come in, and it drove me nuts. It made me miss my Ardents really bad, so I'll be ordering some more Ardents. Anyway, you want something with a really good drag. This thing is so smooth, and these are like I think $40. Really good deal. Their top end ones are only like $100. They're not that bad. Like I said, this is a size 500 Finesse. I love it for ice fishing. You can use any kind of noodly rod. You can make your own off Jan's Net Craft. You can buy them from FAFO Fishing. Does really premium ice fishing rods. They'll custom build you. Or if you got kind of a stiffer one that you don't care for the backbone on it because it's too much and you can't detect the bites, you can always get these cheap little bobber things. I like going with some really ridiculous 12-inch noodle rod blanks that really bend over, that have no backbone at all. Now when it comes to jigs, this is something I've been using for probably since high school, for decades. The Sumner Flirty-Gurties, I think they're still in business. They're always a go-to for me. Smaller the better when it comes to ice fishing. 8s and 10s. I think 6s are too big. 8's probably the biggest I'd ever go for size. Silvers and golds and blacks are, to me, start with those. Those are what you want to use when it's finesse, when they're finicky. If you're not getting bites, you're look and leave, just size and change colors, keep changing colors. Now if they're red hot and you drop it down the hole and you got 6 fish racing for it, you might want to try white or hot pink. Those drive crappies nuts. If you're on a perch deal, chartreuse or red. But you're going to want this natural gold and silver. To me, it looks like little fry, little minnows. Black is a killer color too because it looks like bugs. Now, what I'm really excited about. not only is FAFO Fishing doing some crazy awesome custom colors in their crankbaits and their vibrating jigs and all that, now they're getting into the ice fishing business. So, now I probably went a little small, but that's not always a bad thing because this will be a go-to when it's finicky, but I'm going to throw that on for tomorrow anyway. The grease fryer jig. This little 3mm. Like I said, I probably should have went 4, 5mm. This is tiny. But believe it or not, these tiny guys are the ones that sometimes catch the biggest fish out there. Tomorrow I'm going for probably big gills and crappies. I don't know, it's a new lake. I like trying something new all the time. I've never been there before. But if it goes to crap, I have a backup lake nearby that I know well that's full of crappies. If they get finicky at all, these are going to work. But we got the pink one here. We got Fort Knox, which is a gold. I mean, this is going to be my go-to. You got the Wonder Bread, which has just been a ridiculously hot color in Wisconsin for the last few winters in a row. I got another pink one here. So you got a little bit of a variety. Another Fort Knox. And then FAFO Fishing decided to step into the tip-up game. So we got some ice fishing tip-up leaders for pike, and with a nice blade on there. I've never used anything like that before. Not going to do tip-up fishing tomorrow, but probably around New Year's I'm going to go out and chase some pike around. My backup lake is full of them. And then something new to me is a little bit bigger plastics to try. Obviously I'm going to need some bigger jigs for that. We got, I think that's like monkeypox or something. We got the blaze orange, hunter orange one. We got this root beer looking guy in pink. I mean, I can see some big crappies going nuts over that. And then they got their killer flukes and paddle tails. I could see these guys being money as well. So we will be giving these guys a whirl tomorrow. I'm going to feel a little more confident with these, maybe on some giant perch or more of the walleye thing. They are small for jigs, so technically a crappie should be crushing that, but a lot of times with me I'm ultra finesse in this winter time, and I don't go too nuts with the aggressive stuff. Alright, when it comes to baits, you got your plastic options here that FAFO came out with. Another great one to check out is Beaver Tail Bait by Gullickson Company. As you can see, these are last year's and they're nasty. These just kill it for me. What I usually do is cut them in half though, like make them double as skinny. I try to make it look like a spike. Another thing I like to bring with is my Ardent tool and a scissors, or just a buck knife or something like that. And I cut the beaver tail in half to make it double as, or half as fat. Got some extra bobber here, some more jigs, and then an eye buster, something that's probably a good idea to have out there as well. Now, I'm not a live scoper. I rely on my fancy little Markham here. I've used Markham probably since about 2007. I absolutely love them. I think they have a little brighter, clearer display than Vexilar. No, I'm not in any way sponsored by them or represent them at all. I just like them. Their prices are awesome for the flasher world, and I do like the challenge of going out and looking for them versus the obviously easier way of live scoping. I've been with some friends that have had it. It's a really cool technology, but I'm a little more old school than that, so I'm avoiding it. Plus, you know, it's nice to not spend $3,000. So I'm going to start off with one of these little guys just for fun. There's going to be no wind tomorrow. You might want heavier to, if you're not in a shack, to deal with that. It's going to be a really warm day for this time of the year, so I'm not going to need a shack. There's not going to be wind because your drop speed is affected by the size, but that's why it's also nice to use tungsten. I highly recommend use tungsten all the time. So I busted the eye hole clean here on the little 3mm FAFO fishing jig, and this is called the grease fryer jig. Now, to be more versatile or more for the rookie, I would probably go a 4mm or a 5mm. 3mm is more specialty, going after the big ones that are being finicky. Alright, now that I popped it clean, I got it to go. Now I use the same super strong knot for ice fishing I do for everything else. The San Diego jam knot. I'm gonna wrap it around 3 to 5 times, go back through the hole. It's all over YouTube how to do it. I think it's the best knot ever. And before you cinch it up, you want to wet your line and then cinch it up. You're going to have a big tag hanging off of it, and you're going to want to snip that, not too close to the knot. So I'll get my Ardent multi-tool, handy dandy tool out. It's got a little line cutter on there, good for braid even. This is a little 2-pound fluoro. This is nothing. Your little pocket knife would do a great job with this. And then I'm going to cut off the tag, maybe 1/8 inch, and there we go. I got that there. I'm going to start off tomorrow with spikes because we got a fresh batch out of Alex's vending machine up in Cumberland, Wisconsin at Bob and Steve's on 63. So I'll start off with some live spikes. If that don't work, I will try some crappie minnows with a bigger jig. If that don't work, maybe I'll try some of these guys. Sometimes bigger is better depending on what kind of mood they're in. Always let the fish tell you what they want. So now when you're fishing crappies especially, I look for the suspenders. If they're 5, 10, 15 feet off the bottom, those are usually the ones that are feeding. And what I'll do is I'll try to keep the jig maybe 2 feet above their head, 3 feet. If you're dropping it slow, you want a slow natural drop. Slower the better. If it's dropping slow and they're kind of rising up, maybe stop it a foot above them, kind of dead stick. If they seem to lose interest, give it a little bit of something. If they totally lose interest, let it pass them and see if they chase it down. If it does, reel it up really slow and get just above them. Crappies love to look up. Now perch like to lay typically on the bottom and they come shooting up at everything. Bluegills are kind of a foot or two off the bottom or laying on the bottom. And they'll like to, sometimes they'll come up for it, they'll have it even with their face, or they'll even go down and grab it off the bottom. But crappies you're going to know, and they really, really, really like to look up. As far as pike are concerned, I feel like they like to look up as well, especially if you're setting up your tip-ups. A lot of people like to go deep with shiners. I like to kind of go just below the ice, maybe do some halfway and then some down at the bottom where the little panfish are hanging out. Maybe have a little variety. You're allowed, 3 lines in Wisconsin per angler, so maybe a jig pole and 2 tip-ups, and if you get a group out, you can get a whole bunch. But don't be afraid to put it barely below the ice because they're always looking up. So there we go, that's my video. If you're into more of the walleye thing or lake trout, check out FAFO Fishing's got some like 1 1/8 I think vibrating lipless crankbaits to use for ice fishing. That'd be fun on maybe a 10-20 pound braid with maybe a 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, 10-pound fluorocarbon leader, something like that. It's gonna be for some bigger game fish. Give them a whirl, but definitely check out the grease fryer jig. If you're a pike guy, check out these tip-up leaders. If you're into big crappies, or if you're into big perch, you're going to want to give these guys a look. Also, these dudes here, FAFO Fishing, FAFO Fishing. Check out their website, and they ship really, really quick out of Wisconsin. Thanks for watching, and I will try to do some follow-up videos on the ice if I get into them pretty good on the new lake. First I gotta find them.